Yeah, okay. Topic: distinguishing feelings from love. Dear folks of Baba, this is a very subtle topic about a distinction that has serious implications in maintaining harmony at the inner level with Baba. With most people, feelings are often conflated with love, but this can be very misleading. Emotions, feelings, and desires come from the heart, our conditioning, our sanskaras. We know this, but have you been able to see that love flows in from another dimension, from the innermost dimension into the heart, from beyond our sanskaras? Baba has said feelings and emotions are only the creation of mind and energy. Love is the creation of the soul. The Mandali have said that feelings are a great vehicle for love, but they are also a great vehicle for the darker emotions, such as jealousy, hatred, vindictiveness, and greed. Have you seen this in your own life? Have you ever noticed that what you thought was loving turned out to be predominantly done with an ulterior, selfish motive? When Arnavaz, one of the women Mandali, said to Baba that she wasn't feeling him, Baba replied, I never asked you to feel me. I asked you to love me. Have you ever witnessed yourself doing something loving in spite of being in a bad mood? How is it that your mood was not able to prevent you from being loving? Baba refers to the divinely human qualities in us of generosity, empathy, forgiveness, humor, honesty, courage, creativity, all our best qualities. Have you noticed that emotions and desires are excitement based, and that love, with its divine qualities, is tranquil based? They are quiet, even when they give rise to enthusiasm and action. Baba has said, amidst intense activity, if there is absolute calmness of mind, that is the highest love. Have you ever encountered someone who is very, very good, expressing positive emotions, and yet you somehow felt very little love from them? When you wake up and check in with how you're doing, do you consult your feelings, your emotions, and thoughts, or do you consult the love you share with Baba? We receive light from the moon, but the moon is not the source of its light. Its light comes from the sun. Similarly, we receive love from the feelings, but feelings are not the source of Baba's love. The hidden stream of love that is ever flowing into us begins in purity, but as it flows downstream through us, it often picks up impurities, pollutants, mixed motives. Is it possible to receive love further upstream before the mind and emotions enter into it? I hope this is a provocative and interesting topic. In his love, Jeff.
So, well, I'll just open with a little bit of something. I wrote there at the beginning that making that distinction between uh, feelings and love has kind of implications in maintaining that inner harmony. And I'll just take that like an example is like in my early days with Baba, I had this one job. It was like the boss was quite abusive, and the environment was quite abusive. And I would wake up and I would consult my feelings, which were, uh, you know, I don't know if I feel like going into work today. I got to deal with that. And that would color my day. I would go into the day with this kind of dread of, the work situation and the boss. Instead of waking up and going to the love that I share with Baba, instead of like tuning into that, and then also the potential for love that could be in my environment, I was tuning into my feelings instead of the love. And I don't know if that makes sense, but that's because if I tune into well, I'll just say this morning I did overnight watchman, and I kind of got up a little bit late and I had a whole lot of things to do. And so I woke up thinking, oh God, I'm so tired and I've got to do all of these things. And I, even though I thought of Bob and everything, I didn't stop long enough and I started into the day. After about an hour, I thought, wow, this is kind of coloring my early morning. So I went over to the lagoon cabin and, of course, got on a whole different track, and my day was colored by that, by focusing on Bob. So that's where the feelings can get to be a problem if we tune into them rather than into the love that's really our intrinsic nature. So anyway, I'll say that, and then we'll see what. I mean, I wonder if.
I would say something, Jeff.
Yeah, go right
First
ahead.
of all, thank you for letting me read that twice. That was just such a perfect thing for me to hear. And but I was thinking that I'm quite addicted to my feelings. You know, I know that like if I wake up in the morning, usually there might be a minute of love from the bliss of the sleep and connection with, and then it's like immediately what is this day and what do I need to do? And also I kind of it's as a part of me, right, that wants to get into whatever it was that I had left behind the day before. It sort of gravitates. So it has to be, in my case, it has to be an act of great will, I think, to start off the day, you know, immediately, like 7 names of God or Baba's name or something to, keep me from that addiction to those feelings.
Yeah. I mean, we've been doing this for lifetime after lifetime. Like how do I feel about that person? We go to, oh, I dislike them. We don't go to the fact that we actually really love them, but we go to how we feel about them, which is so ephemeral, so fleeting.
And I've forgotten that I dislike them. The minute I woke up, I don't remember that I disliked them. But then, oh yeah, I dislike this person. But the love is there behind it, I think.
Yeah. Well, there's that quote that I often give where Baba says, all differences between one another are merely superficial and cannot affect the love we feel for each other deep down. So we really love each other, but we don't go to that first. We go to our feelings about that person, you know. I mean, often.
Often, I mean, this isn't black and white now.
Yeah,
It's a process.
yeah. Anyone else want to venture out into the high seas? Do you see that, anything like that happen in your own, where the mood that you're in tends to dominate?
Yeah, Jeff.
Yeah,
I I don't know. It's sort of hard for me to completely separate these two things. I mean, I get it. Baba put so much emphasis on purifying the heart. He said a lot about that because yes, the heart can be the heart can be a reservoir of very negative feelings as well as very positive ones. But I don't know, it seems to me that love also has a feeling component. Um, when you just use the phrase, the love that we feel deeply within, you use the word feel. So,
yeah,
I mean, there's a great deal there that we feel on a higher level. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that, but that's
yeah,
sort of my idea.
yeah. It's like feelings are one of the best, like I say, the best vehicle for love because it comes down, it touches the feelings. even though it comes from beyond the feelings, it comes into the feelings, and that's where we tune into it, usually.
Okay.
You know, um, I mean, I'm just describing my interior thing and what I've kind of gathered. Um, but the but they do kind of get, like I say, the feelings can vary from hour to hour, you might say.
Sure. Sure.
But the love can stay really pretty constant.
Yeah.
But I see some more hands up there.
Um, I'm going to see if I can make a brief comment because I'd like to share again. This topic is so helpful. And what I have learned over many years of floundering about this is that I've gotten a lot of very good help professionally about looking at my personality, because Baba talks about his divine nature, triad nature of knowledge, power, and bliss. So in working with that, then my divine nature is also knowledge, power, and bliss. However, I have a psychological self, and that psychological self is not my whole being. That's one sphere of existence that I'm in. There's the unitive state where I'm God, I'm one with God, I am God. And then there's another state of higher self, lower self, and masks. So I shift in and out of these. However, that psychological state, it is the feeling of feeling like a victim. It's psychology 101. You grow up, parents don't meet your real needs, and then react. And then I bury all of those emotions in my unconscious and act out all of my distortions until I wake up through pain, and then unravel all of that and open to a higher power. So with that, I've learned, since my dominant defense of the distortion of that knowledge, power, bliss is reason, will, and emotion. I'm a highly emotional type. So the lenses that I put on when I first react to something or somebody is emotional. Somebody else, it might be reason. They go up into their head and very cut off from their heart. And more of a will type is going to try to dominate others and take over. So it helped me to learn what my dominant, I have all three, but my dominant type, because I tend to get very emotional. So I've done a lot of work. One is through nonviolent communication. I have my needs and feeling sheets, which are online. So I've learned that even though love is not a feeling, if I can get in touch with my feelings that are in my subtle body, I can then use them as a gateway to my real needs. Because Baba said, I will not grant you your wants, but I'll fulfill every need that you have. So it behooves me, Baba's given me the job, even though Baba knows, to just find what my needs are. And so those are not based on emotion or feelings. They're based on right action, what it is that will really support me at this time, and know that it's a need. And that is always based on love, which is not an emotion. So that's all I'll say. But it's Baba did this landed the territory, but did not give all of the tools in the toolbox. He gave those through his channel, through many of his human beings, these wonderful tools available for knowing where I am, and that's freedom. Because I do wake up sometimes thinking, oh God, this to-do list I have today is just, weighing on me. But the first step of transformation is observation, not trying to be different. And then I can make a choice. And in that choice, I can choose love, not fear. So that's it.
Yeah, beautiful. Now you're saying that right action really, which is based on need, that the need to express, for love to be expressed in your life, and it takes the form of right action. You're calling that?
Yes, and that's a real need. That's a general real need about love. And then being humans, we're human and divine. I need to look at and connect with what is my real need, because a real need I may have a real need about something. It could even be a real need, could be companionship.
Yeah.
But if I'm in my distortion, it's like, hey, I want somebody to take care of me, and I want somebody to love me, and I want you to do it, and never mind you, I just want you to give to me. That's going into my emotions. But as a human being here, devoted to Baba, there is a human aspect of a real need at times for companionship.
Yeah. Yeah, a need of the expression of love, a give and take of love. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Meher. Meher. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. I'll tell you, I had never thought what's happening in my life, and the love what now I'm getting from Baba, I feel a lot more and more comfortable, really comfortable. Because first I was in fears all the time. I fear, oh, will this have, what will happen? What's not going to happen? It's always like that, my mind was. But now that I've come into Baba's fold and the love Baba is showing me and telling me what to do, I really feel there's a lot of love which I have brought out my own self, and I feel very comfortable talking to people also, especially when I talk to Yasmin and Asha. I feel really, really happy now. What was inside, so they're all the Baba has really given me a lot of love and caring, and I feel that it takes time for one person to understand a person. It's very difficult sometimes. So I'm very happy now what's happened. Jai Baba.
Good. Beautiful.
Tony.
Okay, hi. So I have nothing like big prepared, just thoughts that have come. Among other things that I do in the morning, since January, I do some Baba reading. And since January, I guess, I've been doing, or maybe December, a little bit from the Blue Bus book, and which I think is one of the most marvelous Baba books I've ever read. I put it aside for a year, but it's really amazing how close Baba is in reading that. And then I'll read a little bit from, which I've just finished, Meher Baba, From Boyhood to Godhood. And in these little readings every day, from these two surprising books, Baba's love on a personal level, especially in the Boyhood to Godhood book, but in both of them, is just so dazzling and so brilliant. And regardless of what the context is, whether it's correcting someone or comforting someone or chastising someone, the context is always of such extraordinary love, especially say with Bailey, his friend who figures in the Boyhood book, who was a problematic personality. And the lengths to which Baba opened his heart on a human and divine level with love for Bailey is just, you feel this love and suddenly you get, this is different from my feelings. What I am sensing now, what I'm picking up, this glimpse into Baba has nothing to do with my feelings. It's that divine love, which is so human as well. What I'm also finding, it's been a horrible time for me, but also a wonderful time. I don't know how that can happen at the same time, but the other thing is, in January 1st, Zeke and I started a daily review, this little tape of reading of the Course in Miracles workbook, which we both studied, but I studied it a lot years ago. And so much about that separates you, that causes disharmony, that causes friction, that with people you love even, is judgments and grievances. And this amazing thing of using forgiveness to like neutralize that has this side effect to bring you into that for me anyway, into Baba's love. So there's one lesson that I particularly like, which is God is the love in which I forgive you, so and so. I used that with the person who did the answer to Biden's State of the Union. I was getting angry at the political person, and her name was Kim, a governor. I said, God is the love in which I forgive you, Kim. And suddenly my body relaxed, everything. And I could not like this person and still feel this love. And I notice when it's love that's coming through me, it's Baba. It's that I've gotten my grievances and judgments and stuff out of the way and like just tuned into that place that you write about in that, Jeff, where it's like, that's the thing, get out of the way by letting your judgments and grievances give way to forgiveness. And then you have the harmony that Bob is asking for in all of these books that I'm reading, where anyway, and in some really dark times I've been having, and really bad. Last night I was something that was very upsetting and I was sobbing, and yet because it was authentic and it was not, I don't know, ego-based, it was just opening the heart. I felt Baba's love even while I was having the suffering. So there is such a distinction between our emotions and love, which is Baba, which is just Baba. What we call love is just I think is something else. When we get out of the way, it's Baba and it's love. That's all.
Beautiful.
Jai Baba.
Excellent, Tony. Yeah.
Love. Oh, yes. What a subject, Jeff. Good for you. If I look at the lines hundreds of lines in my head memorized, I can come up with complicated things like love is at first sight a setting out on a high adventure. Then the troubles begin and one is a little less sure. Or love is lovely and lowly. It runs from high places. Or love delights in green places, in the songs of birds and fountains. Or love loves not those whom loves fattens, but makes destitute. Hundreds of love statements that slap you around the head quite nicely. And recently I've had the strangest experience twice, within a month of each other. The first one was indeed, Jeff, in the lagoon cabin. And I told you before, I tried to think, and I couldn't think. I could see it over there, the good and the bad, and I could see it on either side, but I couldn't think. It was passionless. It was totally detached, and it had nothing whatsoever to do with feelings at all. And as I walked back to our dwelling, the farm shed, I still felt nothing. And then I realized I was calling it nothing. It wasn't nothing. It was everything. I was calling it nothing because it wasn't duality. It was everything. And I laid down in bed and I deliberately tried once again to think. And suddenly out loud I said, "You know it's nothing." And I heard a voice from the other room go, "Yeah." Neither person could speak, could do anything. It was, of course, everything. It was beyond duality, below or above. There was no words, you see, there's no duality. It was pure. And it had nothing to do with all of our terminology whatsoever. And I hung on to that experience. We spent a week by ourselves, no one hardly on the center, in semi holding on to that state. And 4 nights ago, I had a dream of an old friend who's passed away. A friend who I admired musically, big, tall man who'd been a very famous musician who came to Baba. And I had sort of gotten on with him. He had one of those famous musician egos that's difficult to get along with. But I always put my stuff away because of my past when I was young and how famous he was. But in the dream, I'm walking towards him at I suppose what might be some sort of futuristic airport. We board a vehicle and we are going to sing to Meher Baba. We arrive in what looked like Melbourne in 2056 or something. some sort of city, beautiful modern city. And we go to the hotel they've given us into our 2 separate rooms. And then we know what each other's thinking. We're beaming at each other. We are in some sort of state. And the only word I know, again, was nothing. So there is this guy and myself, nothing. We know to go to dinner. We know to buy some dinner. We know to eat it. We know to tune our guitars, and we go to the venue in bliss. It wasn't everything. It was bliss. It was so exquisite that I kept slowing it down so as I didn't dare come out of it, And we sit there, and I sing my best song, and then I can't think of another single song. I only know one. She who knows 5,000 knows one, and I sing it. And he looks at me in bliss, and I look at him in bliss, and we look out at the audience in bliss, and I don't see Baba. But we know he's there because we were asked to sing to him there. Then he sings about 10 songs, and we're all still in bliss. I could have been singing, they could have been singing, didn't matter who was singing. We were all singing these songs. And I did not wake up. I just sat there all night in bliss. Because there was no way to say, I must get out of bed, because there was nothing. So I think that what happens here, as Bob was saying, we get tangled up in the words to try to express this thing called union with the beloved, called that state where we know he's in front of us and we're with him at all times. We can't find a word, so we use love, we use all these gorgeous English words. And it's not nothing and it's not everything, it's actually good old bliss, I guess. And it's incredibly difficult to explain, to not feel, or to feel. And I experienced it twice in a month. So if that's what's ahead, we're in bloody good shape. But in the meantime, I'd just like to read a few lines on love. In this guzzle, the opposite is brought up as a deflection every time, and I'm leaving them out on purpose. Francis, so there. Love is lovely and lowly, it runs from high places. Love is a valley, and it's sweet, and it's filled with scented breezes. Love is as idle as flowers that bloom for the beloved's delight. Love is faithful to itself, and intellect commits treason. Love is a company of banners in the morning. Love is a kookaburra laughing at sun up and at day close. Love is lovely and lowly. It seeks hollow places. At the feet of the perfect master is where God's grace is. And I think this poem sort of sorts out for us, or tries to, and poem after poem, trying to find what it heck it is. Is it nothing? Is it everything? Is it... No, it is, because it isn't, because it's an inferior word called bliss. And it's difficult to sort out.
Beautiful, Rainey. That's fantastic. Yeah. It reminds me, just before Elle comes, the other night we had Jimmy Kahn was sharing his experiences, but his first embrace with Baba, he felt Baba's presence in that embrace. And even to this day, 50 years later, that presence is still at the heart of him.
Yeah.
It's just there. He can always go into it. It's amazing. One embrace imparted a permanent interior experience of Baba's presence that's just lodged in there. you know, I mean, and it's kind of say it's beyond feeling. You move into that presence, and there you are, that loving presence. Yeah. So,
And Baba,
El, go ahead. Yeah.
Hey, Baba.
Jai Baba. Yeah.
Since returning from the center just a little over a week ago, it's been quite wonderful. uh, I bought a beautiful oil painting of Baba that I'm waiting for. And there's a space in my house that it's the top center of the house. And, you know, it was kind of a meditation room, but I don't really formally meditate anymore. So I don't know what it is, but it's the top center of the house. And that's where the painting will go. And I already have, you know, picture beautiful, tall, long, I don't know, picture scroll of Baba that I got at the Southeast Gathering. And it's just amazing because he's sitting in the seclusion hill is above him. And, you know, it's just it touches my heart just to look at it. And he can see me every time I walk up the stairs and I say, oh, hi, Baba, you know. But anyway, I haven't been in that room a lot, you know, I mean, it's open space, so I see it, you know, but I don't go in it a lot lately until I returned from the center. And since then, you know, I'm all of a sudden cleaning and rearranging and getting it all ready for Baba, this new painting coming in. And I'm not doing it. I mean, Baba's like moving me to do a little bit every day. And then I realize afterwards that it's not me doing it. You know, it's just Baba wants it this way and that way. And I actually set him up a chair that he's never had and put a cushion for his feet that I bow down to now. And it's just lovely, you know, and I put a rose on the chair and the room getting ready and more ready and more ready. And the painting should be here sometime this week. But anyway, so I've been reading the book, Waves and Waves of Love. It was written pretty recently, Carolyn Ball, I think. But it's all about the history of the center. And there's so much beauty and richness and love in that book. And I decided to start from the beginning, again, unusual. And, you know, I read about your story, Jeff, while I was at the center. And, but anyway, I'm reading this book and it's just, you know, people's connection with Baba and their experiences just brought forth this amazing, spontaneous, you know, it's a feeling of love, but it's not really, it's a feeling, but it's a welling up or a, you know, full, I don't know how to, you know, what's the word, but I mean, there's tears that come and then laughter that comes. And I feel Baba talking about things that I've read about. And it's just been blissful, to use Rainey's word, and, you know, but it's been just so beautiful and beautiful and beautiful. I just feel Baba so much. And I'll lay down, because I do have a couch in there, and I'll lay down and I'll take a deep nap, you know, and I'll wake up and I'm still just feeling this love. It's beyond, you know, it's beyond the human love that we experience normally. It's been a great prompt, you know, it's been a great, and I'll look at the painting of Baba, and I have another, you know, one with his eyes. It's very similar to one that's up there that I had in Mirabad. And it's just been, to me, that's what love is, you know, it's just wordless, you know.
Yeah. And from a different dimension.
Yeah.
Now, did you get the painting yet from Greg? Has it arrived?
That's the one I'm waiting for. And
yeah. This guy is a really superb painter of Baba. If you ever get up to Myrtle Beach, you can see some of his paintings. Even his eyesight is suffering from spending so much time painting Baba for years and years. Yeah.
And the other funny thing is the painting, I forgot the dimensions at the moment. But anyway, it fits exactly into the space with 3 inches on each side between windows, you know, because Greg said not to have the sunlight on the painting itself, but it fits so exactly, you know, of course, how else would it fit, you know?
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else?
Well, I just want to say that this has been so helpful for me because, well, Rainey nailed it when she said that that word feeling tends to encompass so much. It's very easy to get kind of confused by what that word really is. And when, you know, when one is anywhere, sitting alone or being busy or getting ready for the day, and that gift of, you know, Baba just touches the heart. That's not something it's not a self-created feeling. It's a gift, and it's something that comes through rather than something that's. So yeah, I'm beginning to sort of see the difference in the definitions now. So thank you.
Yeah, there was that one quote, feelings and emotions are only the creation of mind and energy. Love is the creation of the soul. So the feelings don't kind of create it, but it comes as a gift, as you say, from the other dimension. Yeah.
Robin?
I just want to mention, it is Carolyn Ball who wrote Waves and Waves of Love. And it came out right when other books were coming out and stuff. And a lot of people kind of missed it. And I'm just going to recommend it because I think it's a wonderful, wonderful book. That's all for now.
Yeah. And very natural history of the center. Elizabeth and different ones.
Some of the stories are just quite amazing too. Towards the back, it has stories of people that have seen Baba on the center, and it's just wonderful stories in there.
Also, about feelings, there's that famous saying by both Francis and Erich that the longer I'm with Maya Baba, the less I feel him. I understand that completely differently as of the last month.
Yeah. I'll tell you a valuable, unless there's anyone else wants to
Jeff,
chime
could
in.
Rainey repeat that again, please? I need to hear it again. Rainey?
Sorry. The longer I'm with Baba, the less I feel him.
Yeah.
When people would ask, how do you feel about Maya Baba? The longer I am with him, the less I feel him. Both from Erich, said slightly differently, and from Francis, independently, like in Australia back in the 70s, and when we go to India each year. And it used to puzzle me. I never asked, of course, but it puzzled me. But if it's nothing and it's beyond feelings, it makes a lot of sense. If it's bliss.
And it doesn't even necessarily have to be bliss, too. That's the amazing thing.
Yeah.
But here's a turning point. I mean, in my life, this is back in the 70s, the mid 70s, and you know, I found the mandali, Baba is so present in them that sometimes just a casual remark from them could be life-changing. And this is what happened to me. It was back in the mid-70s, and Mara was saying goodbye to this woman who had come to the end of her pilgrimage. She was going back to the West, and I was just standing there. This is at the end of the day at Merazad. I was just going to say goodbye, and I was going back to Mehrabad. But so the Mara's concentrating on this woman. She's on top of on the porch, and we're standing below. And Mara says, you know, go back, take Baba with you. Remember, he loves you. She's talking in that way. And at one point, she says, sometimes we feel empty and depressed. but we know Baba wants us to be cheerful, so we make efforts to be cheerful. Now, I'm a young kid, and inside I thought, wow, this is the beloved of the beloved. She has been next to the source of love for the last 40 years. If she hasn't mastered the experience of a heart full of Baba's love, then love must be something different from what I thought. I thought, because Mara radiated so much love, the most I'd ever experienced, and yet she says sometimes she's empty and depressed, so and what that did to me is, I felt after that, up to that point I thought, well, if I was feeling Baba, I would feel Baba and feel him in my heart, and then I would lose it, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what did I do? I lost that feeling, and then I try to get it back, and I'd get it back, and then I'd lose it, and I was dealing with that. But after that, listening to what Mara said, I never really bothered about whether I felt empty or depressed or however I felt. That love was on a different track from feelings. So I felt like that, if you think of that we are the Earth's atmosphere, and that the soul is the Earth's atmosphere, and these weather systems are passing through. And, we feel them, but love is kind of not outside of that. But if you identify with the storm, then you get dragged around and buffeted by the storm. But love is something quite different. And, well, I guess I would say, to give the analogy, like the feelings and moods that we go through are like the seasons. And, there's a springtime when your feelings are feeling abundant and new and fresh and everything, but then the feelings move into summer and everything dies back, and the scorching sun in the fall, everything changes. In winter, everything dies back. That's just the whole movement of feelings and moods through us. But love is always behind it all. And that was invaluable. That just a little remark from Mara, who is, in other words, she had this great love that she was radiating, but it didn't depend upon how her own awareness of her love. Anyway, yeah, we got some hands. Yeah,
Rainy?
So, what I forgot to add to the dream was that I suppose the only way to express it, since we're talking about how something you can't express, is like Baba says, yes, well, you heard it in my language, but you don't know if I said it in your language or in my language. It's like that with love. So, my dream about my old friend that died 10 years ago or so, whom in real life I struggled with to not entangle my negative feelings about him with, I realized that that relationship in that dream was always there, and it's still there. That absolute, unabridged love for one another and respect for one another, because we're always in front of the invisible Baba there. That's how we behave on that other level, and that's how we don't feel on that other level. That is the layer we enter, that the inadequate word love we have it's called. It's always there. As Gabriella was saying, it's actually always there.
Yeah.
And
yeah, even on a cloudy day, the sun is still
yeah,
there.
exactly.
It's having a hard time getting through the clouds, but it even goes through the clouds.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I also just wanted to qualify. It was Erich who said, "The longer I'm with him, the less I feel him." And it was Francis who said, "The longer I'm with him, the further away he appears." Just one's a little more poetic than the other.
Yeah.
But it is amazing that that's always sitting there, and we have to just fleetingly know occasionally, after like 50, 60 years of adoring, or this person adoring us, who's God, every now and again we can have a fleeting image of it, to not get too entangled in our emotions and sentimental things, which often involve ourselves more than others anyway, and what we want to feel.
Yeah, wonderful. Yep.
Joshua.
Yeah, hey, can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting because yeah, about feelings, because I've done a lot of like journaling of my feelings to the point where like I've written like 50 journals just filled with intense feelings. And then it took about 50 journals for me to get sick of that and be like, sorry, I got something stuck in my throat. To say, I want to stop sort of emphasizing what I'm feeling and start making my own feelings. And so instead of saying, oh, I feel like this, I just start writing what I'm grateful for. Often it's the things that I'm grateful for, and actually sort of like change them. And yeah, it's interesting. It was just really a good point to connect with Jeff when you're talking about how feelings change, yeah, and how they it's the sort of there's the calm something below that is permanent. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. And you say the gratefulness kind of links you to that realm of love, that dimension of love.
Well, I don't know. Well, it's a feeling. It's like being grateful for things makes me feel good. So if I'm trying to manipulate my feelings, I'd much rather feel happy and grateful for what I do have than sad about the things I don't, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all interesting. It's interesting stuff.
Beautiful.
Tony.
Hi. A couple of things. One that occurred to me was Harry Kenmore. He said a lot of things that I tried to figure out with my thinking mind, and I never really quite got them until I stepped back maybe decades later. But one of them was he used to say love is an action. And I'm a very feeling person. My moon, it touches everything in my chart. You know, I'm emotion and feeling is big with me. But the difference between that and love is more and more clear. Love as an action reminds me of what you, Jeff, wrote in this opening. When you express kindness, when you express generosity, when you express support or thoughtfulness, or when you express empathy, that's love flowing, I think. I think that's the active thing that love is. It affirms union. It affirms oneness with the other person. And the other unrelated thing was that the piece about God is the love in which I forgive you, so and so. It also works with if you find yourself with a negative emotion towards someone, or jealousy or envy or whatever it is. God is the love in which I forgive you, Tony, for that quality, whatever it is. And again, it's a way of letting go and being at peace with Baba in your own soul, because you've forgiven yourself. Baba forgives you. But to be able to forgive oneself and let it go and say, it's not important, you're important, Baba. I thought it was the third thing, but that's good. That's
yeah. And what you mentioned there is Baba talks about the divine qualities. And those divine qualities, they also get confused with feelings. They're really, like you say, they're really aspects of love. Mm-hmm. Empathy, generosity, humor, and kindness, courage. They are actually loving qualities that percolate into our life. And they're not really emotions, or they're not even really feelings, even though they give the, we're going to say they express themselves as feelings, but they're really love.
They,
I don't
but they,
know. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, they express what I was thinking of just now. They express tangibly in actions. If you have that feeling and keep it to yourself, it's not quite. It doesn't. It's by its nature, it expresses itself outwardly towards the other person or the situation. To me, I get that's what that meant, that love is an action, because those qualities, they act. Yeah.
Yeah, they flow.
Yeah.
They flow from love itself.
Yeah.
Right from Baba's own uh, footstool, you might say. Ah, look at this guy. He's resurrected, reincarnated.
Michael.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Love has been a big question, a subject of mine for a long time. I read when I was in India in '74, I picked up a book that had the discourse on love, or one of them that Baba had written or dictated, and there was the 3 stages of love. One in which the mind was in opposition to the heart. The other was when the mind was in a state of confusion in relation to the heart. And the other one where the heart and the mind were in harmony, and it produced a form of super consciousness. And I pondered that for a long time. And then I began to study all the different emotions and feelings. If you go down to and they could be categorized from the darkest to the lightest. And some people have done some work on it, and I did some work on it. And for instance, jealousy, total failure, being nothing, hiding, those are the lowest form of consciousness. And the highest would be that of joy, ardor, cherishing, and the I am state, where you feel like you are part of everything, part of humanity, and it's flowing through you rather than you isolated watching it. And at the same time, you're always looking at God from a distance, so you know that you're not at one with God, but you're part of this stream. And anyway, obviously I've had a lot of experiences, and Bao told me to write them down. So where to begin? So as far as what Rainey had said about, and Jeff had said about the less I feel, the closer I am to Baba, the less I feel. I came up with an analogy which I thought was kind of amusing, which was like asking people, well, do you love your mother? And most times the answer will be yes. So, well, do you call her all the time? No. Do you think of her all the time? No. So how do you know you love your mother? And the answer is, I know. And I just realized that my relationship with Baba is that I know I love him. I don't understand him. I don't pretend to understand him. But the connection is so deep that no matter where I go, and I was out of the Baba world now, not now, but I was gone for about 20 years, because I was resolved to find him in the middle of hell if I found myself placed there. And I have gone through hell, and there he was, kind of peeking at me, saying, I'm still here. And I had only one Baba picture around, didn't read anything. But I was determined to seek him, to see him everywhere, because I knew him to be everything. Everything. There's nothing that is not Baba. You pick up a grain of sand and you look at it and you say, this is Baba. And it just, this whole world opens up. It's enormous. The whole universe opens up and you wonder, you stand there and wonder. You say, how could this be? So anyway, I have a poem to share with you, plus the conundrum I've left you with.
Hey, Michael, can you share that? Can you share that poem at the very end, because it might be something nice to before we go into meditation, if you think it's suitable.
Well, I'd pick something a little bit more peaceful. This is very passionate.
Okay.
And it's designed to not designed, but
yeah,
the intention was to communicate how stirred up I became. So there I was in India, I guess I said, in '74, and a young army officer came to Marizad, where Erich and the few Westerners who were there were about 5 of us, were having tea. And he said, can I find peace with Meher Baba? And Erich had this profound understanding of me that I didn't understand at the time. He could see what I was going through, even though I didn't see it. And he said, Michael, tell him. And I looked at the young man and I said, you want peace? I'm on fire. So this is a poem with that.
Okay,
fire.
good. Go for it.
Ghazal G from an alphabet of ghazals. I yearn for my pleasure like I yearn for you. But once attained, a dissatisfaction still remains. Over and over, the cycle turns and turns, never closer, never further, never the final embrace that would be my end and my beginning, the one in which I find myself embracing self, the universe disappearing, the glance, the touch, the bliss of being one. This stillness of the very core that blazes forth creation. I seek that union with thee, Lord. Thou art the woman of my heart, the mistress of my soul. Like Odysseus on his way to Penelope, I have been with others, but always, always true to thee. Touch me, caress me, take me in your arms. You are my soul, my only love, the one whom I adore. Inconstant, faithless, a traitor to your name, shameless and brazen, I stand before your door.
Beautiful, Michael. Wonderful. Wow. Keep that one around. We'll have to visit that a few times.
Marian? Marian?
Who did you say?
Marian, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Oh, I just want to make a quick comment because even I was reading today some of Baba's words, everybody's path is so unique to themselves. And yet there's some commonness we share and we do our best to express it. And something that came up for me, I guess, because I'm so grateful that I have the tools to express from my unconscious and bring it to consciousness, because Baba has stressed that we're here to bring the unconscious to consciousness. And so I had the situation of experiencing total detachment from the parents I had in this life, and where I knew on a soul level we were one, but as far as those two souls in ever having another karmic connection with them, that was over, and that came from another state of consciousness. So I knew the same thing was coming up with my 2 children, 4 grandchildren, where I have the deepest karmic connections. So I knew that, and as these 2 of the beautiful grandsons got older, I helped take care of them when they were little. Then they get to be teenagers and older teenagers. I hardly see them. So I have a lot of gripes and complaints, but I always knew to give it to Baba, always. So I let myself rip with all those complaints. But I would always tell Baba, they're triggering this in me. They're triggering these demands in me, and I'm releasing them so that I may be filled with your love, light, and life. And I usually use the ancient one on my side table in my bedroom when I do the energy work, because it's the subtle body that holds these emotions. So lo and behold, a couple of years I worked on this, and even in my support groups, of just how I just wanted to, everything evil and bad and horrible, I would release it toward these two beautiful, not toward them, but giving it to Baba. Then one day, I wasn't thinking about any of this, just in my bedroom, happened to lay across my bed, and the silence, what I call the silence of God, came over me. And out of the silence came the voice. And I wasn't thinking about this, and all was said was, you owed them. Because my complaint was how much they owed me for all I did for them growing up. But I always knew I was in distortion. I knew that in expressing it to Baba and turning it over. And it was from that wisdom and that love. And that's what I mean by the highest form of love is right action. It was right action for me to release what was stored in my energy field in my subtle body, turn it over to Baba, and release it energetically. Because the energy body does not mature unless it's expressed in a healthy way. It does not mature. So with that science of release and that I use, I'm not dictating to anybody else. I'm sharing that transformation, that loving voice of Baba doesn't even have a name in that dimension. And that is, you owed them. And it was such a sweet, sweet, kind voice. And so then I could ask, oh, what are the possibilities for us as human beings now? And I could ask a question and let it go. So I'm still in that question.
Great. No, it's amazing how Baba speaks to us in saying things that we would never come up with ourselves.
Yeah,
You
no.
know that it has an authority, and it's not anything that we would necessarily be able to predict.
Yes, I'm
Wonderful.
so grateful, so grateful.
Yeah.
Martha,
Yes, so the longer I am with him, the less I feel him. So I would like to ask Goher if she has anything to help me understand that statement. The longer I'm with him, the less I feel him. Is that, that's just baffling to me. Can you help me with that?
I don't know if, well, let me think. The longer I'm with him, the less, okay. All I can convey to you, Marta, is my own experience that I had many years ago now. Very profound, very deep. I was very distraught. I was, to put it mildly, torn to shreds. So much so that even took a trip to India, spoke to Arnavas about it. And after going through it for months on end, it finally, dawned on me, why did this occur in the first place? And Baba's answer to me was, look within and you'll know. And I did. And it just came to me, it has to be from something from past lives that I am working through this experience. And even though I had not done anything to provoke it this time around, it still happened. It was very intense. I went through it, but in the end, I was still able to move on. Not only that, to love and to forgive. And where did that come from, if not from Baba? So it's like that deep, deep love is always there with us, always. And when the time is right, it just, Baba makes it come out. He brings it forth, because you leave everything to him. And so when you do that from your deepest level, he has to come out. I mean, he has to show you the way forward. And that was it. So not only, I mean, it just happened so naturally. And after that, all was just fine. So to say, I am with him always, but I don't feel him, is just, I don't know how to express it to you in so many words, but if you really and truly leave all to him, there is no way he's going to let you down, and he will make that, he'll correct the situation, he will come through and help you to know that he's always the one who is in charge of, he's the captain of your ship, in other words. He's the one to guide you, to lead you forward. And he's always there. It's his love that comes through. So I don't know, did I help you with that? I hope.
Yes, you always, your words always help me. Thank you, Goher.
Oh, you're so welcome. Jai Baba.
No, that reminds me of interesting about Erich and his experience of, well, the experience he chose to have with Baba. He, many of you know Dan Ladinsky, and he once, you've probably heard me say this, some of you, but he once said to Erich, when he was alone with him, you know, you Mandali, you take a nip now and then. And Erich said, well, what do you mean by that? You know, what, you take a shot of his bliss. And Erich says, what makes you say that? Well, I see it in the eyes of the Mandali sometimes, that bliss. And Erich said, Danny, we are the chalices that hold the beloved's wine. Others may come and help themselves, but for us, we never take a drop. So what is that? I mean, they're Darwin, I mean, they're Erich is choosing not to feel, but give that love so other people can feel it. He's not in there feeling it himself. He knows it's there. He knows it's this, but he's deliberately choosing not to rob any of it for himself, so that all of us could enjoy that love. I mean, that's postgraduate Baba, so to speak. And Daniel Stone asks Kitty, you know, do you feel Baba? Oh, she says, oh no, I haven't felt Baba in years. And yet, she was so loving, and so many people benefited from her, but she herself, she wasn't feeling Baba, and she wasn't troubled by the fact that she wasn't feeling Baba, because it's like you're in a ditch, you know, and it's cold and freezing, but you got your billionaire father's credit card. What do you have to worry? You know, you can get out at any time. Anyone else? Let's see. You mean I have to go out and anything that occurs? I mean, it's Vijay's birthday. I mean, you know, maybe he can.
Yeah, of course. See, it is a very interesting and very subtle topic. And as you read, love, those feelings are different, and they are within the domain of mind and energy. But love is something very subtle and from the soul. I personally felt my experience with Baba. Baba said that that love, what we are having, is a reflection of his love, because he is if we have that some love, it is coming from Baba, and we are responding that love from him. So we are reflecting that, but it is coming from the source, that is Meher Baba. So I felt, my personal feeling is, whenever I saw him and I felt him, I have feeling that is like a crying. When I as a child, when I saw him in 62 East-West gatherings, there were 5,000 people, and I was in the back. I was 11-year-old boy, and I saw him coming. He just waved to the crowd like this, and people screaming "Avatar mein Baba ki jai," and the tears started flowing from my eyes. See, before that, in 1960, when I was 9 years old at Guru Prasad, I had that kind of curiosity and that kind of attraction towards him. But since then, whenever I felt him, I did feel him like a crying, or sometimes joy, but mostly it is a cry. He makes me cry. So that and that crying and that joy is so powerful that it overpowers the other feelings of lust, greed, and other things, anger, and things like that. And so that's a kind of situation I feel. And I'm always watchful to my feelings. Like if I'm angry, I just see my anger and don't get carried away by it. I try to be watchful to because this is my mind, and I am is a different entity. So I visualize my own mind, become separate from my mind, try to become separate from my mind, and try to watch my own feelings, not to carry away with the feelings. But I certainly enjoy that crying or joy. That's the kind of feeling I get from Meher Baba.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. And I even wonder, is joy an emotion, or is it just one of the aspects of love?
See, that is very profound. That joy is something like that overpowers all your emotions, feelings. That joy is very strong, and that cry is also very powerful.
Yeah, beautiful.
Michael.
There was something that was very important in my own spiritual journey, and Vijay touched upon it and reminded me that I was going to bring it up today, or tonight, and it has to do with conscience. When I had this glimpse of God in 69, it faded, and I felt like the door had closed, and I went about trying to find the door again, open it. And in a sense, it was a desperate search, which I didn't talk about it with anybody, because, part of it, I was ashamed that I had lost this feeling and that I was even looking for it. And it was so intimate that I didn't want to discuss it with anybody. So I did a seminar where I got in touch with things I'd done in past lives, and I've been in touch with past lives before. But I realized that I had a guilty conscience. I've done some really terrible things in the past. I was a general. Thousands, millions of people have died because of me. And I did not feel like I deserved love. I felt, in other words, people worry about God punishing them. I was punishing myself. And I got in touch with what I'd done, and I admitted to myself anyway. And then at the end of the seminar, I realized, well, I was back at that door, the same door that was open in 69. And I realized that the door had never closed. The door hadn't opened in 69. It's just that I opened myself up to it. And I opening up myself up to it meant that Baba opened it up. I don't take any credit. I don't take any credit for opening that door. And that the door was always open. And I could very freely go back and forth and always experience what I had done before, what I had experienced in 69. So that became like a passageway to infinity. But these feelings would come and go, and they weren't consistent. And I would spent the stage of being very angry and very upset, and it has not been an easy path, because Baba just brings up everything. As Christ said, there is no stone left unturned. But finally, I came to a stage of equilibrium, and that's when Bao and I became friends. And I wrote the poetry in a moment of equilibrium in '89, and then I went down into to hell again and had to work my way out of it a few times. But it's a matter of conscience, and there's a standard for conscience. It's the prayer of repentance. When we say we repent for every word and deed and thought that was unjust and unclean and false, that is so profound. Every thought, okay? And who is not guilty of flipping off a driver that cuts you off on the road? Or these 1,001 things that we just take for granted, that are part of our society, that are normal. So when I talk to, I feel like I'm an alcoholic in front of a group of fellow alcoholics. And I get up and I say, my name is Michael, and I'm an alcoholic. You never say you're cured from alcoholism, because the only cure in this case is God realization. At that point, that I'll know that the slate is clean. But when I wake up in the morning and I'm still here, guess what? I'm still lying to myself about something. I'm still screwing up to one degree or another. And there is no patting myself on the back saying, well, you've made it. I've made it to what? Just so I can stand here naked as God sees me. As Bao saw me when he said, I put you in my nazar. Every thought that I had, he knew. Every feeling that I had, he knew about it. It was like, he was like a master, a perfect master with me, except that I knew that he was also in the sixth plane, and it kind of confused me until I read that book written by Eric Nadel, I believe, on Padre. So, which I recommend highly. Very insightful book. So, conscience is key. And it doesn't suffice to say to God, I repent for every word and deed and thought. You make a list. And you go to the people that you've lied to, or cheated, or thought ill of, and say, forgive me. I said this about you. Sometimes if you say these things, you just create a bunch of trouble, and it's not advisable to say it. I mean, apologies are a can of worms, okay? If all the governments apologize for everything they did, the world would be in chaos. Because, you know, that opens up litigation and taking responsibility. But as a soul, on your path to being responsible for the entire creation, it's the least we can do is become responsible for what comes out of our mouths, our own actions. And it's so important to be able to feel the pain of others. A heartfelt apology is so incredibly releasing. And when it dawns on you what the consequence of what you've done and what you said, and you look at the consequences, you either want to shut up and hide, or you cop to it and you clean it up as best you can. And Bob is always there to help you. And he's saying, look, you want to be pure. You want to be one with my purity. Then purify yourself. This is the process. So I just wanted to bring that up about conscience. It's so powerful. The prayer of repentance is, there's no loopholes. You can't get away with anything with the prayer of repentance. So it's that's my 2 bits for tonight. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. No, I know it's and it works. Hey, okay.
Patty,
And we're coming down to the home stretch here. Yeah. But Patty, take your time. I mean, I'm not saying but we haven't heard you yet.
Patty, you are on mute.
There we got you.
Yeah, we got it. Okay, Jay Baba, everyone. I just wanted to offer a little bit here on the subject of love. I think through the lens of each of these little drop souls here on this screen of mine, I've heard a lot of the compassionate one speaking through the drops here and the various uniqueness of each and every one of us. And when BJ said joy, and then actually, Michael, you were starting to talk about it a bit in the beginning too. I remember in my first awareness and knowing of Baba early in the late 60s, there was a joyous sensation that was not a feeling that I could really label at that point. And then the travels that took me to India in 73 and 74 and so on, I would sit there with an empty mind coming with loads of questions. But the minute I walked into a room full of this love presence, my mind was incapable of asking a question at the time. And yet the sensation that filled me was joyous. And I remember the first time on the center in 71, I don't think my feet were on the ground hardly. You know, walking the paths, I felt like literally floating, but I couldn't really even label any of that in those years. And it's only now, as I hear everybody and as I look back through this short life here, that it is truly a level of his penetration and his opening us up to who he is within us. It is indescribable, or describable in many, many, many terms, like lovely Francis does and Rainey says so beautifully and eloquently. It's just is the isness of him being everything when we are tapped open enough, turn the nozzle open, whether we go through however path leads us there, it is just a flood of joy. And I remember Eric saying, it wasn't a happy life, but it was a joyous life. So I hope we all get to that joyous moments with him constantly.
Yep.
Jai Baba.
Thank you, Patty. Fantastic.
Alan? Alan?
Yes. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, good to see everybody. I've been appreciating everyone's share, and yeah, Vijay, when you shared about that joy in being in his presence, and it reminded me of recently when I was at the center, and well, I went to Tom Riley's, I don't know what you call it, a wake or something, and you know, and people were sharing, but and then there was this moment where this particular share really kind of, it broke my heart in a million pieces, but not because of what this person was saying or because of what happened or because of their tears or because of it. All of a sudden was like this rejoice. It was an absolute, I mean, more than my own father, my own dad's, you know, death. It was like, oh, being here at Tom's thing, it was like seeing, I really felt that moment, but that heartbreak was like the opportunity to be with him, you know, and all of us, as you know, Patty was saying, the drop soul, I just was like, how beautiful the chance is to be with him. And I will be just like this person, having the opportunity to remember him, have this, I mean, come on, some of us have had maybe, you know, thousands or millions of deaths. We've died again and again and again, but then I'm terrified of dying. I'm terrified of dying. I'm not afraid to say it. Like I'm so attached to, I do not want to fucking die. I'm so scared of a lot of things. But to see that and to feel finally just this thing of like seeing this rejoicement, it was an admixture, I must say. It was an admixture of the human feeling of grief, but joy, but sadness. But it was also that flavoring, that sweet Baba's fragrance that welled up beyond and behind the feelings and through and out of my heart. And I just felt like I loved everybody in that room, like more than anyone, you know. It was just so to have these experiences in life, I feel like it's these little reminders that bring me back, and keep being these little touchstones of remembering him, even when I'm, you know, I really don't want to accept the fact that you know, that's it. That's it. we're all goners. I don't know what Padre was saying. I think he was. What was that story, Jeff? You were saying that somebody said they had snuck in late at night, and Padre was there. They didn't know it.
He said, yeah, he was sneaking in, hoping that Padre wouldn't notice that he was out after curfew, and he was trying to sneak in, and Padre had eyes behind his head, so to speak, and he said, "Who's there?" Oh, nobody. Mister, you ain't nobody yet.
Well, we're all on the path to becoming nobody, so that's yeah, I don't know. Jai Baba.
Yeah, thanks. No. You know what Woody Allen said, I'm not afraid of death, I just don't want to be there when it happens. Okay.
Yeah, I've been reflecting on this saying that you mentioned before about the Mandali being what was the saying again? To clarify also more on what Marta was asking me about being with Baba but not feeling him. So here's what I'm getting right now. The fact that the Mandli were so in tune with him, to not feel Baba is to be separate from Baba, is what I'm thinking. And this is what's coming through to me right now, so I'm sharing. So Baba's saying, if the fact that you don't feel me means you are separate from me. But the Mandli was so in tune with him. They were so, that they, because they were around him so much, they exuded Baba in whatever they said and did. So there was no question about feeling him. It was just him coming through in whatever they said and did. So the more you are in tune with Baba or attuned to him, there's no need for any feeling him. I hope I'm being clear about that. I don't know. This is what's coming through to me. The more I reflect on it, this is what Baba's telling me. So it's, to feel means you are separate from him. But if you are attuned to him and one with him, then whatever comes through you is Baba, and you don't need to feel him necessarily.
Excellent.
Go here. Beautiful. I got it. I finally got it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Baba. Thank you.
Baba, indeed.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I got it.
Thank you.
Here's an interesting thing, and many of you have heard this, but I once asked Marwan Jesawala, who spent 1 month of the year there at Merzad by Baba's request, and so he would be there most of the day in Mandali Hall with Baba, and Baba's, I said to him, you're there with Baba all those hours. He's interacting with people. He's doing correspondence. He's greeting people. He's interacting with the Mandali. What thoughts and feelings? What were the kind of thoughts and feelings that went through you in witnessing Baba all this time? And Marwan said, I had no thoughts or feelings. I said, Marwan, you had no thoughts or feelings? No, I was just focused on him. Completely looking away from himself and following Baba. I said, that's impossible. Let me shake your hands. I shook his hand. But what I mean is there's a guy that's not, not feeling, because he's over into Baba. So that's a beautiful thing. Well, do we have Mayor Prasad, have you got a final quote here for us, or there's that one quote that we quoted recently, I think bears hearing again, where Baba said, amidst intense activity, if there is absolute calmness of mind, that's the highest love, right? But Mayor Prasad, have you got a...
Yeah, I have a quote, but I think Michael has a hand up.
I just wanted to remind Jeff about the poem. I got excited reading another poem.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go for that. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. But what about Meher Prasad? He has a quote.
Then Mayor Prasad will come with Baba's words at the end, and then we'll have some silence.
Okay, great. Guzzled X. It's early morn. The air is cool and crisp. A faint moon tries to penetrate the mist that clouds my heart. While everyone is sleeping, it is silent. Listening with my inner ear, I hear a humming like a giant bee. As the silence deepens, it grows louder, louder, and still louder, till roaring like a hurricane, it assails my senses with the cry, love me, love me, love me, love me, My hand shakes writing these words. Consciousness hurls itself against the pain to free my heart in bondage. Like a siren calling, it calls to me. Love me, love me, love me, love me. A restlessness overwhelms me. A half-forgotten yearning pulls the answer from my breast. I do, I do, I do, I do, Lord. I love thee shamelessly. My love cannot be controlled. Resisting it is death. I may win laurels in the world, but lose my soul. At my final breath, what really matters is you and the exquisite moment of surrender.
Beautiful. Jai Baba, lovely. Okay.
Okay, I'll share a little bit about what I feel and then I'll share the quote.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
A short one is that, Baba said love is a giving. So whatever feelings we are going through, whether they are jealousy, hatred, complexes, whatever they are, if we give them to Baba, it's an act of love. That's what I feel.
Beautiful. Yeah.
All right. This is the quote that I like very much about love. It's from Baba. Love delights and glorifies in giving, not receiving. So learn to love and give, and not to expect anything from others.
Read it once again, and then we'll have a few moments of silence.
Love delights and glorifies in giving, not receiving. So learn to love and give, and not to expect anything from others.
Jai Baba. Wow, thank you. You all spoke so beautifully. Wow.
Hey, Baba.
Thank you, Jeff, for keeping us together on schedule.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeff.
Oh, good.
Thank
And
you. Thank you,
before
Jeff.
before we go, we have to hear from Nasreen. And it's
Yes.
Happy New Year. It's the
Yes.
Yeah.
Today.
Happy
New
Nowruz.
Year.
Happy
Thank
Nowruz,
you. Thank you.
Nasreen.
Thank you so
Nowruz,
much.
Nowruz Mubarak to everyone.
Oh, you
Mubarak.
too.
Yeah,
Yes.
Nowruz Mubarak all.
To all Persian and especially Baba lovers.
Yes.
Okay. Avatar. Meher Baba.
Jai.
Avatar.
Avatar Meher Baba
Jai.
Ki Jai.
Avatar.
Avatar
Meher
Baba
Ki Jai.
Jai.
Baba. Thank you, Baba.
Yeah.
Thank you, Baba. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Jeff.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Baba.
Thank you, Baba. Beautiful. Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Good night and Happy New Year.
Wow, Happy
Thank
New
you.
Year.
Thank you.